afternoon, friends, and thank you very much for being here this afternoon in our regular format of interaction. I'd also like to welcome my young colleagues here, the latest batch of the Foreign Service, who are coming here to see all of you in action. So these days there are lots of young people coming to see all of you in action, so please be at your best behavior. That said, I'm certain you will not disappoint them. That said, I have one announcement to make, and then the floor is open for questions, and I'm willing to answer any questions on that issue or on any other issue like usual. The announcement that I have to make is of the visit of the External Affairs Minister to Nepal. Now, in accordance with the priority that the Government of India places on its relationships with our neighbors, the External Affairs Minister is visiting Nepal from the 25th to the 27th of this month. Those of you who are very acutely following dates will remember that just exactly 1 month ago, the External Affairs Minister had visited Bangladesh. And prior to that, 1 month before that, was the swearing-in ceremony. So, on 26th of July, when she will have a joint commission meeting with her counterpart from Nepal, she would be on her second solo visit to the neighborhood. That gives you an idea of the importance that the Government of India is placing on our neighborhood. Now, during her visit to Kathmandu, the External Affairs Minister will primarily focus on presiding over the Joint Commission meeting. However, it is normal for senior dignitaries from India, when they travel to Nepal, to meet senior leadership in Nepal. So, she will be calling on the President of Nepal, the Prime Minister of Nepal, and a cross-section of the political leadership in Nepal across the entire spectrum. Let me tell you a little bit about the Joint Commission. Point number one is this Joint Commission is meeting after 23 years. 23 years. Therefore, the format of this Joint Commission is different from that of previous commissions. The Commission, I understand, will be structured into 5 clusters. This is the first time that this 5-cluster approach is being followed, and I'll try and tell you what those main issues under those clusters are. Number 1, political, security, and border issues. Cluster number 2, economic, cooperation and infrastructure. Cluster number 3, trade and transit. Cluster number 4, power and water resources. And cluster number 5, culture, education, and of course, media. Those are the 5 clusters in which the Joint Commission will meet. Given the variety of issues that the Joint Commission is to address, the External Affairs Minister's delegation is going to consist of representatives of a wide variety of our ministries. They will include ministries of power, water resources, commerce, road transport, railways, human resources development, culture, besides the Ministry of External Affairs and the ICCR. Let me try and give you a glimpse of our relationship with Nepal in terms of facts and figures so that you place this in perspective. Even though the Joint Commission is meeting after such a long period, we have 25 bilateral mechanisms with Nepal where we are interacting on a regular basis with the leadership of Nepal. Our bilateral trade with Nepal is approximately $4.7 billion. India accounts for 47% of foreign direct investment in Nepal. There are 47. There are 6 million Nepali workers in India. Annually, there are 3,000 Nepalese who are provided scholarships. Currently, there are 450 small development projects which we are undertaking in various districts of Nepal. There are remarkable success stories of some of these projects. Some of you may remember that when we started the goiter project, that was to rid Nepal of goiter. In 1985, the incidence of goiter in Nepal was approximately 44%. In 2007, when we completed that project, it came down to 0.7% or 0.4%. In terms of connectivity, apart from an open border that India and Nepal enjoy, we also have 60 flights from Nepal to India. 60. Pardon? Yeah, every week, sorry. 60 flights per week. 20% of all tourists visiting Nepal are from India, and approximately 40% of tourist flows to Nepal are through India. Our intention is, and hope and endeavor is, that the External Affairs Minister's visit to Nepal will pave the way for Prime Minister's early visit to Nepal. I think I will stop on Nepal. I'm willing to answer any questions on this issue, or otherwise we will then take it sequentially on any other issue. The floor is now open for questions relating to the External Affairs Minister's visit to Nepal. Yes, just 1 minute.
Sir, you
Welcome.
said, yes, EM would be meeting cross-section of leaders, as you said. Can you confirm that she would be meeting Prachanda of the Maoist party?
You know, we've played this game many times before. And who she meets, when she meets, becomes a story. If she meets 10 minutes later, you'll write a story. Therefore, I'm not going to tell you, but let me give you a glimpse. It is not unusual for External Affairs Ministers to meet Mr. Prachanda, who is a well-established and very important leader of Nepal. Last time when the External Affairs Minister visited Nepal, he did meet. And we are intending to meet a broad cross-section of Nepali political leadership and all important leaders. Yes, just 1 minute.
Sir, you mentioned officers from various ministries are going there.
Yes.
You didn't mention the name of Home Ministry. Are they also going? And is there any specific issue on the border between the two countries that they want to talk about?
I will always tell you outcomes at the end of that. You are aware? Good try. Just anybody else on Nepal, one by one. Then we'll take, yes.
Some business delegation or some MOUs are going to sign.
Well, the Commerce Minister is going for a SAARC meeting. As regards business delegation, India and Nepal don't need ministers to meet to have business level delegations. As I said, more than 47% of FDI into Nepal is from India, so there is business interaction. But as regards outcome, let me assure you that whenever India and Nepal meet, you will have substantive outcomes. And as you know, we never tell you the outcomes before. Yes, Manish.
Power deal with Nepal is full of reports about
Don't ask me to comment on media. That said, let me tell you that India and Nepal are engaged subsequent to those reports that you are telling. We are engaged very constructively with the leadership of Nepal, including at senior levels, to work out what could be mutually beneficial relationships across the spectrum, including in power. So please don't go by what you read. You know better than that. Yes. Mr. Venkat Narayan.
Akbar, some delegates from the Railway Ministry also are going to be a part of the team. As far as I know, there are no railways in Nepal. Are we planning to build a railway connectivity and rail tracks in Nepal? What is the same?
There are proposals of this sort, which have been on the table for some time. And there is work going on this for quite some time, and therefore Railway Ministry people are part of the delegation. On this, yes.
So, India is building a trauma center for the Nepalese in Kathmandu.
Correct.
Can you tell me when it's going to be handed over, and also approximately when it started construction?
So, we never tell you when things happen until they happen. And that's standard. You're right, we are building a trauma center which will have more than 200-bed hospital working as part of this. And once it is done, we will let you know. I do not know offhand when a specific project started, but if you would like, I will get those details and share them with you. Anyone else on? Yes. Naz.
You said this visit will pave the way for the Prime
I can't
Minister.
hear you. Can you please repeat your question?
You said that it will pave the way for early visit of Mr. Modi to Nepal. So, when is it be taking before the visit to China, to US?
Well, good try. We never announce visits unless we are all tied up. I said to you that it is our hope and endeavor that the External Affairs Minister's visit will pave the way for an early visit of the Prime Minister. Obviously, the External Affairs Minister's visit is not yet done, so I can't tell you whether our hope and endeavor has been fulfilled. Just bear with us a few more days, and we will tell you whether our hope and endeavor has been fulfilled. Yes, Padma Rao.
Akbar, you outlined political security and border issues among the way the talks are going to be divided. I just wondered if there's also anti-terrorism cooperation envisaged or planned, or is any part of the delegation going to be taking up talks on that issue?
Well, we have a robust and vibrant relationship with Nepal, which stems from on issues relating to security, because this stems from India and Nepal having an open border, and our concerned agencies are regularly in touch, and we are happy with the state of cooperation that we have, exchanging information and other activities between our two countries on this matter. If nobody else on Nepal, we move to something else, one by one. Anybody? Nepal? No. Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Mr. Akbar, are you for released by European Parliament? This is released in the afternoon, and it says that European Parliament questions Modi's inequality against non-Hindus. Now this subject has been raised by a Spanish member of Parliament in European Parliament, that it says that the question is directed to the European Commission to take action. In that it says
I'm aware of it, so what's your question?
Can you give your reaction to that?
Why should I give a reaction to a question being posed by a member of a European Parliament to them? I mean, it's not posed to me. We have our views on this. This is well known. I don't think I need to respond to a question that is being raised by a member of the European Parliament to the European Parliament. It's for them to respond, and we hope that they will respond with due sagacity and wisdom. Yes, sir.
There's a media report, according to the government sources, that Prime Minister Modi is going to Japan and have a bilateral meeting on September 1st. So I just would like to confirm that both sides are working on the schedule.
I can confirm that both sides are working on a schedule of Prime Minister's visit to Japan. Obviously, I won't be able to confirm the date or the time of that meeting, but let me assure you that Prime Minister had written to Prime Minister Abe that among his earliest visits outside the subcontinent would be to, on a bilateral basis, would be to Japan, and we are working on that. Yes, sir.
India has asked for this consular access to this the asylum seekers. Is it only to determine whether they are Indian nationals, or what about those Tamils or Sri Lankan refugees who have been living in India from so many years?
I think we put out a press release yesterday which encapsulates our position. At this stage, consular access is usually only for Indian nationals. I can't ask consular access for an Australian national. So you will appreciate that we will go step by step. We had the Australian Minister of Immigration come here. He had made some requests to our leadership. He had met the Home Minister, the External Affairs Minister, and following that, we've agreed that the first step in this process would be to have consular access. Our mission in Canberra will work out with the Australian government what would be the best means of having that consular access. We take it up from there. Let's go step by step. Yes, Suhasini?
This is another date question, but it's exactly 2 months since Prime Minister Modi met with Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, and the two leaders had spoken about the Foreign Secretary's meeting at an early date. Do we yet have a date on when they might be meeting and where?
Suhasini, you're right. It's almost 2 months since the Prime Minister has agreed that the Foreign Secretaries will remain in touch and explore how to move forward. That was the formulation that we had shared with you. I can now confirm to you that the two Foreign Secretaries had, some time ago, had a telephonic discussion. And as part of that discussion, they also discussed how they should move forward. They had two elements to that discussion, and let me try and explain to you what those elements were. One was, obviously, how to move forward, and they've agreed that they should meet to take this process forward as directed by the two Prime Ministers. And based on that telephonic conversation, they've agreed that they will meet in Islamabad on 25th of August. That said, since there have been incidents of firing along the international boundary, Foreign Secretary Sujata Singh used the opportunity to raise these issues. She recalled that incidents of this nature will impede the positive work that the political leaders of both countries wish to undertake. She also reiterated that meaningful cooperation between our two countries cannot take place alongside violence and the sounds of bullets on the border. To us, as to Pakistan, the maintenance of peace and tranquility on the line of control is one of the most important CBMs. And it was this issue that she reiterated as part of her conversation a little while ago with Foreign Secretary Aizaz. Yes. Pardon? Yes, just a short while ago. Yes, sir. Let's finish the Pakistan issue if you have any further. Then we go to something else. Is your question on that?
Yeah, on Pakistan.
Yes, sure.
So are the two countries also working on a gas pipeline for India, from India to Pakistan?
Not to my knowledge right now. The first contact between India and Pakistan was today, between the two foreign secretaries at a diplomatic level. I mean, obviously we have missions there and they have mission here and they are in touch. The first contact at a diplomatic level following the two prime ministers' agreement that the two foreign secretaries should remain in touch and explore ways to move forward happened today when Foreign Secretary Sujata Singh and her counterpart from Pakistan, Mr. Aizaz, had a telephonic conversation. Yes. On this? No. Let's finish on this. Yeah. Anybody else on this? And then we go to something else.
Given that FS Sujata Singh did, of course, stress on the issue of firing, should we understand that the dialogue would be subject and conditional to, of course, incidents of firing stopping at the IB?
I think you're like 3 steps ahead of where we are today. No. Just let me explain so that it's very clear to everybody. What the Prime Ministers agreed was that the Foreign Secretaries will remain in touch and decide on how to move forward. Okay? The remaining in touch was the conversation. The 2 Foreign Secretaries will now meet to look at how they should move forward. We've not talked of anything else that you are referring to. We've talked of a conversation. Number 2, we've talked of the 2 Foreign Secretaries meeting to see how they should move forward. That's where we are. So let's not clutter the agenda with things which are not on the table right now. Yes, anyone else on this? Anyone else, apart from Suhasini, she's asked her question. Anyone else can ask that question. I'm open to that. Yes, Niloa.
Will the talks entail some species of a resumption of the composite dialogue? Is there a format?
I mean, how would I know after a half-an-hour conversation that you've gone beyond what Smita is also saying? I mean, please understand, at this stage, and you know us, we are very slow in these things. We are never able to move at the pace that all of you want us to move. We can't even tell you what is going to be the outcome of the External Affairs Ministers meeting. So just relax, which is this month. And we are talking of a meeting between the 2 Foreign Secretaries next month. That's more than a month from now. So let's take it one step at a time. We will keep you informed. I assure you, nothing will be hidden from you. We don't even dare do that. Anything else on this, or then we go to something else? Okay, anyone on anything else? Yeah, anything else? Yes, Amrita? I will answer.
I just want to check if we have an updated statement perhaps on the Israel-Palestine conflict. I believe India read out a statement at the UN Human Rights Council, and also if there's anything happening behind the scenes that you would want to share with us in terms of the Indian government.
Well, my understanding is that the Human Rights Council is having a special session on this matter. Our permanent representative a short while ago made his statement. That statement is broadly on the lines of our established position, which EM had articulated recently in Parliament. If any of you would like to have a copy of that statement, we will provide that statement to you. My understanding is that at the end of this, as a culmination to that, there is likely to be a resolution on this. Negotiations are underway on that. And once this is completed, there is likely to be a decision on that resolution. And we will keep you informed of what the decision, as far as we are concerned, will be when the voting takes place. Yes. Yes, sir.
To Japan?
Yes.
Security.
Yeah. I understand he wants the outcome of the meeting of Prime Minister to Japan. Welcome to the Ministry of External Affairs. And the small little gasps that you heard just now would indicate that outcomes we only share at the end of the discussions, not prior to that. So please be patient. We haven't even announced the date. So the outcomes are 2 steps away. Yes. Ashok.
Akbar, can you give us some update on Iraq? What is the fate of the 40 construction workers who are pulled up in Iraq?
Yeah. Ashok, let me try and take you back to when this crisis started, where we were at that stage and where we are today. We were in a situation where 150 Indian nationals were in the zone of conflict, and several others were very concerned about their safety and security, although they were not in the zone of conflict. Where are we today? Out of the 150 who were in the zone of conflicts, you are aware that 46 nurses were brought back through Erbil. Not many of you are aware, another 58 nurses have been brought out of the zone of conflict in extremely difficult circumstances, but very quietly through land routes, and they have come back. There are 58 of them. Of course, you were very concerned of 46, and I do understand your concern for them, but 58 others have been, over the period of last 3 weeks, brought back in small numbers, in very difficult circumstances, with the aid and assistance of our friends in Iraq. Those 58 are also back. There were 46 who were back previously. That leaves a number of Indians who are in Mosul in captivity, and some very small others who are there. Let me assure you, some others in zones of conflicts, like these other nurses who we've brought out, in smaller places. And we will not be able to share further information of what is happening in the zone of conflict because it impedes our operational ability there. But let me assure you that we are working at all levels, including right today. We have diplomatic envoys who are working on this matter even today. Also, we are working at the ground level. But like none of you know how 58 nurses were brought back very quietly, we can't share that information with you. Who helped us, how much we knew, because not all of you had lost interest in them, except for the Government of India, which is committed to working to ensure that every Indian in difficulty will be brought back. That is our endeavor, that is our hope, even if you follow it or if you don't. Yes. Parul.
There have been reports that India has refused visas to a UN team probing human rights violations in
Sri
Lanka.
I do not want.
Can you confirm that?
First of all, I haven't seen any report in an Indian newspaper. This report comes from a newspaper outside India. And therefore, I do not want to comment on media reports which are outside India. But let me tell you our approach. And that our approach is that, as far as we are concerned, we had abstained on that resolution. We had voted against the requirement for a probe under that resolution. Therefore, our views are very well known on that. At this stage, I do not know if any such requests have been made, but you need to understand the lay of the land in such cases. Our approach is very well laid out, and it is in consonance with previous practice and precedents. However, I do not know the veracity of that report that you are referring to. Yes, one by one. Rajiv? Only one question, Rajiv. And no Matrushka game.
Okay. Akbar, does India have a stand on the ongoing Russia-West spat on MS-17, particularly against the reports that US intelligence has failed to find any direct linkage between Russia and the episode?
Rajiv, you are aware that a decision has been taken by agreement in the Security Council on this matter. So don't use words of spat or others when there is also cooperative efforts under this process. You are aware of our general view. We would support any form of investigation which will lead us to the truth. And that is aware, and we support those efforts that are internationally underway. Before that, I think it's premature to jump to conclusions on our part about what is the factual situation. We will await any international probe on this and give our viewpoint once that probe is available. Yes, sir. I will take two more questions and then we end. Yes.
Well,
Okay.
again on
Four more.
Yep.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah, again on Japan. My question.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly. I mean, you've asked a question which has eluded a response for years. And I will follow that pattern. Yes, next. Maria. Well, his question has been eluding a response for years. So it doesn't matter. It continues. Yes. Maria.
Yeah, good afternoon. Almost 30 months ago, 2 Italian soldiers were arrested with the accusation of killing 2 Indian fishermen outside the Indian Indian territorial water. The case is still sub judice, as the External Affairs Minister said on the 4th of June, if I don't made a mistake. However, on the 28th of March, the Supreme Court has admitted a petition of the 2 Italian Marines and asked the Indian government to file an affidavit. It's known also that MHA sent a letter to the Law Ministry for a fresh legal opinion on the issue. My question is, which are the next steps the Indian government is taking at the legal level or eventually at the diplomatic level? Thanks.
Maria, you have been following this case with great precision, so I will not question any of the details that you have listed out. That said, the Ministry of External Affairs focuses on the diplomatic engagements related to this case. What you have indicated clearly mentions that we have not come to a view on how to respond further in terms of the diplomatic engagement, because there is a process underway. You have listed that the matter is sub judice because it is in the Supreme Court. You have also said that the Ministry of Home Affairs has sought a view about it. Once those views are decided on, once there is a decision taken, when we are informed about it, we will then certainly appropriately convey this to our Italian interlocutors. I understand that this looks a very circuitous process, but law and legal matters are best left to lawyers rather than diplomats. Diplomats can't find solution to legal issues, and that's why we keep away, and that's why it is the norm in the Ministry of External Affairs to step back when a matter is sub judice. Yes, you asked already. No? Okay. Yeah, you and then Devi Rupa. Yes. Look, I am not a sage on the stage to tell you what will be the repercussions of X, Y, or Z. But you know our views quite clearly. I have said this candidly many times, and that is cartographic depiction does not change the facts on the ground. And those facts on the ground are well known to you. I don't need to repeat those. Arunachal Pradesh just participated in an election in India. It's an integral part of India. And that's what I can say. As regards any strategic or technical or military aspects, I would suggest that you talk to those who are handling those. I can only deal with the diplomatic issues here, rather than all of you think. As I said, I am no sage on the stage. Last question and we'll end there. Yes, Devi Rupa?
So just a quick question. Can you confirm if the Israeli foreign minister had a phone conversation with the external affairs minister?
I mean, I don't know. I'm here if there was any. But it's normal to have conversations. Why is this a issue if a foreign minister of a friendly country with India has a telephonic conversation with our minister? It's normal that diplomats will have telephonic conversations, will have discussions, will have talks. After all, that's what we live by. I think if nobody else has, yes, sir.
Catholic priest Alexis Prem Kumar was kidnapped, had been kidnapped last June, and initially the government of India and external ministry was showing lots of interest to this issue, but later on these days we don't see any report on this pattern, especially when we are capable of bringing back our Indian construction workers or the people, the nurses, those who are working there. And why can't the External Affairs Ministry is not showing interest?
I think it's not fair to blame us if the media doesn't report anything. I just blame them for something else. And you're blaming me for why somebody is not reporting something. But the point is that when a non-state actor has an Indian national in custody, normal channels of diplomacy don't work. And this we have seen not only in the case of the abduction that you are referring to, but in other places. But that does not mean to say that we in the Ministry of External Affairs are not engaged in this, that we are not pursuing this matter. However, there are limits to which states can work with swiftness when there are issues of the kind that you are saying. But let me assure you that this remains on our agenda. This is a matter that we are following through our mission there. We are in constant and regular touch with the Afghan authorities. After all, it's the Afghan authorities who will be able to help us in this. Ordinary diplomats can't do very much more than that. We remain engaged. We will pursue this matter as we are pursuing everything else, whether you report or you don't report. Anyone else on anything else? Yes.
Sir, any update on John Kerry's visit to India? Is it happening at the end of this month as was expected?
Yes, sure. It's happening on, I think he will be meeting the External Affairs Minister here on the 31st of this month. In this very building. Yes.
Is there any actions taken on Sri Lankan fisherman issue after Mr. G.L. Perez met our EAM on last meet? Because the arrests still continue later on 21st July also there was 2 kind of fishermen were arrested by Sri Lankan army. Can you confirm please, is there any actions taken after that meet?
I think we need to understand that the fishermen issue is a issue which is a protracted one. There are Indian fishermen who have been arrested and are in Sri Lanka. There are Sri Lankan fishermen who are arrested and in Indian jails. So we need to look at this in a more holistic manner, and we are working on that. At this stage, you have noticed the speed and the swiftness with which, compared to previous period, it was that they are being released. So we are one step a little bit ahead from what we were, say, last year. I have given you facts and figures in terms of how many were arrested and how many were relieved. I can give that to you again. But if you think that there is a solution which is available, can be picked up like a ready-to-eat meal, answer is no. There is no MRE here. There is a engagement that is on with Sri Lanka, and we will try and take this forward. We are engaged through our mission there and through their mission here. At some stage, we will need to move that further, and as you are aware, that the 2 ministers had agreed that there needs to be a long-term solution. That solution has not happened is right, but that solution is being worked upon is also right. Anyone else? If not, thank you very much.